गोपीनाथ मरण मोहन जू की जय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अशुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अशुतर शत शिशिमार श्रील भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अशुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अशुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अशुतर शत शिशिमार नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अशुतर शत शिशिमार श्रील भक्ति विज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्य प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अशुतर शत शिशिमार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्रील गोरक्षरस बाबाजी महाराज की जय। नित्य प्रविष्ट श्रील सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नित्य प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्रील जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूप गौरी गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल पतदास रघुनाथ शार गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम छय श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री रूपानुगौरी गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल पतदास रघुनाथ शार गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम जय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौरमंडल व्रजमंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विराति गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड यमुना गंगा तुलसी भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। हरि बोल। Raseshwari Mataji and Rohit Radhakrishnan ji. Dandavat pranams to both of you. Also Dandavat pranams to Indira Mataji who will be watching a little bit later. And Pradumna Prabhu, Mantra Murti Mataji. Dandavat pranams. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Itadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yang pravrajantamanupeta krityang dvaipayano virahaka tara ajuhava putreti tanmayataya taravo bhinedustang sarvabhuta hridayang munimanatosmi narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Shrinvatang Svakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridantasto Yabhadrani Vidhunoti Suhritsatam Nashta Prayeshvavadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tavaivasmi, tavaivasmi, na jivami tvaya vina. Iti vigyaya radhe tvam nayamang charanantikam. Bhaktya vihina aparada lakshai Kshiptastakama ditaranga madhe Kripa mai tvam sharanam prapanna Vrinde namaste charanaravindam Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Oh, I was so spaced out when I was doing Jadvani, I forgot to mention Nityalila Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatarashata Shishmar Bhakti Vicāra Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Tadiya Shubha Avirbhav Titi ki jai. So today we are going to read about, well, we're going to finish up this chapter. There's not so much left in this ninth chapter of Uddhava-gīta, or 15th chapter in Srimad Bhāgavatam originally. So yeah, there are only 10 more verses, so we'll read those verses, and then we'll read Śrīla Bhakti Vicāra Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja's glorification of Śrīla Bhakti Vicāra Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja. So first, I guess we can go through and read about all the siddhis. I'm just going to start from the beginning. I'll read all the translations. Okay. So, chapter 9 of Uddhava-gīta, Lord Krishna's description of mystic yoga perfections. How did the previous... I just want to see what the question that Uddhav asked. Oh, no, wait, never mind. I was just looking in the previous chapter. Sri Uddhav said, "My dear lotus-eyed Sri Krishna, please describe to me how one who desires liberation should meditate upon you." And then the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, this is the previous chapter, chapter 8. "While seated on a level seat that is not too high or too low, keeping the body straight and yet comfortable, placing the hands on one's lap, and focusing the eyes on the tip of the nose, one should purify the pathways of breathing by practicing the mechanical exercises of Purak, Kumbhak, and Rechak, and then reverse the procedure. Having fully controlled the senses, one should thus practice pranayam. One should raise the life air upwards to the heart, where the sacred syllable Om can be heard like the sound of a bell. One should then continue raising the sacred syllable upwards until it is joined with the Anuswar vibration. The Omkar thus being joined, one should carefully practice the pranayam system of yoga 10 times at each sunrise, noon, and sunset. By doing so, after 1 month, one will have conquered the life air. Keeping the eyes half closed and fixed on the tip of the nose, and being wide awake and alert, one should meditate on the lotus flower that is situated within the heart, which has 8 petals and an erect stalk. One should meditate on the sun, moon, and fire, placing them one after another within the whorl of the lotus flower. Then, placing my transcendental form within the fire, one should meditate upon it as the auspicious goal of all meditation. That transcendental form is perfectly proportioned, gentle and cheerful, and has 4 long arms, beautiful shoulders, a handsome forehead, a pure smile, and ears that are decorated with shark-shaped earrings. That spiritual form has a complexion that resembles that of a new rain cloud, and is dressed in golden yellowish garments. The chest of that form is the abode of Srivatsa and Lakshmi, and is decorated with a conch shell, disc, club, and lotus flower. That form of mine is decorated with a garland of forest flowers. The lotus feet are decorated with ankle bells, and this form exhibits the Kaustuba gem and an effulgent crown. The upper hips are beautified by a golden belt, and the arms are decorated with valuable bracelets. All of the limbs of this beautiful form captivate the heart, and the face is beautified by merciful glancing. Withdrawing the senses from their sense objects, one should be grave and self-controlled, and should use the intelligence to fix his mind upon all of the limbs of my transcendental body. Thus, one should meditate upon that most delicate transcendental form of mine. Thereafter, one should withdraw the mind from the limbs of that transcendental form and fix it on the wonderful smiling face of the Lord. Thereafter, one should withdraw the mind which had been firmly fixed on the lotus face of the Lord, and establish it in the sky, which is the cause of the gross cosmic manifestation. Finally, one should relinquish that meditation as well, and become fixed in me, thus giving up the process of meditation altogether. One who has his mind fixed on me should see me within his own self, and should see the individual soul within me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He should see how he is situated within the Lord, just like the rays of the sun are seen as united with the sun. When the yogi carefully controls his mind by complete absorption and meditation, his false identification with material objects, mundane knowledge, and fruitive activities is soon dispelled. Then chapter 9. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear Uddhava, when a yogi has controlled his senses, conquered his breathing process, steadied his mind, and concentrated his mind on me, then all mystic perfections automatically appear to him." Sri Uddhava said, "My dear Lord Achyuta, you alone are the bestower of all types of mystic perfections. Kindly tell me, by what process can the mystic perfections be achieved? How many types of mystic perfections are there? And what is the nature of each mystic perfection?" 1 second, just drinking some water. The Supreme Lord said, the sages who are masters of yoga have declared that there are 18 kinds of siddhi, 18 kinds of mystic perfection, and dharana, meditation. Among these, 8 are primary, being sheltered in me, and 10 are secondary, appearing from the material mode of goodness. Anima, becoming smaller than the smallest, Mahima, becoming greater than the greatest, and Laghima, becoming lighter than the lightest, are mystic perfections by which one transforms one's body. Prapti siddhi, by which one acquires whatever one desires, is related to the senses. Prakamya siddhi enables one to experience any enjoyable object in this world and in the next. Ishita siddhi enables one to manipulate the sub-potencies of Maya. Vashita siddhi enables one to be unimpeded by the 3 modes of nature. Kama vasayita siddhi enables one to obtain anything he may desire. My dear Uddhava, these 8 siddhis are considered as naturally existing and unexcelled within this world. Hare Krishna Anar Singh and Shah Sharma ji and Madhavi Didi. Dandavat pranams. The 10 secondary mystic siddhis produced from the mode of material nature are the power to free oneself from hunger and thirst, to hear and see things happening in a distant place, to move one's body at the speed of the mind, to assume any form one desires, to enter the bodies of others, to die according to one's will, to witness the pastimes of the demigods with the apsaras, to act however one desires, and to give orders whose fulfillment is unimpeded. The power to know past, present, and future, tolerance of dualities such as heat and cold, to know others' minds, checking the influence of the fire, sun, water, poison, and so on, and to remain undefeated by others, these constitute 5 perfections attained by the practice of yoga and meditation. I have simply listed them here, giving their names and characteristics. Now please hear from me about how one attains a particular siddhi by performing a specific meditation. One who fixes his mind on me in my atomic form, which pervades all subtle elements, worshipping that form alone, attains the mystic perfection known as anima siddhi. That's becoming smaller than the smallest, right? Yeah. One who concentrates his mind on the Lord as he is situated in the Mahat Tattva as the supersoul of the total material elements can obtain the mystic perfection called Mahima. That means becoming greater than the greatest, bigger than the biggest, right? By absorbing the mind in the existence of each material element, one can obtain their potencies. By fixing the mind on me as I am situated within everything, and thus the essence of the atomic by fixing the mind on me as I am situated within everything, and thus the essence of the atomic constituents of the material elements, a yogi can attain the mystic perfection called laghima, which enables him to become as light as an atom. One who meditates on me as situated within the element of false ego as generated from the mode of goodness attains the siddhi called prapti, by which one gains mastery over everyone's senses. One who concentrates his mind on me as a supersoul of that aspect of the Mahat Tattva that manifests the wheel of karma obtains from me, who is beyond material perception, the mystic perfection called prakamya. One who meditates on my form as Lord Vishnu, the supersoul, the personification of time, and the controller of the three modes of material nature, attains the siddhi called ishitva, by which he can control the material bodies of others, along with their designations. A yogi who meditates on my form of Narayan, who is full of 6 opulences and who is fully transcendental, becomes endowed with my nature, and thus achieves the Vashita siddhi. I'm just trying to see what's... Anyways, I just wanted to see what Vashita siddhi is, but by which he brings under... is that by which he brings others under control? I don't know. One who meditated upon the impersonal Brahman, which is a partial manifestation of the absolute truth, will attain happiness beyond material conception, and all his desires will be fulfilled. One who fixes his mind on my form as a predominating deity of the mode of goodness, the upholder of religious principles, and the lord of Shvetadvip, attains a purified form and freedom from the 6 waves of material disturbance: hunger, thirst, decay, death, grief, and illusion. If a purified transcendentalist meditates on the extraordinary sound vibrations occurring within me as a personified sky and total life air, then he is able to perceive within the sky the speaking of all living entities. I'm going to just tell them to speak a little quieter because it's distracting me. Okay. If a purified transcendentalist meditates on the extraordinary sound vibrations occurring within me as the personified sky and total life air, then he is able to perceive within the sky the speaking of all living entities. While engaging in meditation on me as existing within the combined form of the sun and vision, if one can merge one's sight into the sun, and then the sun into one's eyes, one can acquire the power to see any distant thing. When one completely absorbs his mind in me by meditation and then utilizes the air that carries the mind, he can attain the mystic power that allows him to travel in a moment to anywhere he desires. When a yogi desires to assume a particular form by applying his mind in that way, that form will appear before him. Such a mystic perfection is possible by meditating upon the inconceivable mystic potency which I assume by which I assume various transcendental forms. A yogi who desires to enter another body should meditate upon himself as being situated in that body. As a bumblebee easily goes from one flower to another, a yogi, with the help of his subtle body, can enter another body through the path of the air. To achieve the mystic perfection called swachanda mrityu, that means dying on his own wish, dying at will, a yogi should block his anus with the heel of his foot and then gradually lift the soul along with the life air from the heart to the chest, then to the neck, and finally to the head. Situated within the Brahma Randra, the yogi then gives up his material body and guides the spirit soul to his desired destination. One who desires to enjoy life in the celestial gardens of the demigods should meditate upon the mode of purified goodness, which is situated within me. When he becomes fixed in this meditation, heavenly damsels that are generated from the mode of goodness will approach him, riding in their celestial chariots. Okay, so that's where we read up to yesterday. Right, we read this one? One of the mystic perfections available to the yogi enables him to enjoy with the celestial damsels in heaven. That's Śrīla Bhakti Vicāra. All right. Let me just check the comments. All right. I wonder where Raseshwari. Oh, she's first person. Okay. Yata sankalpayer buddhya yadava matpara puman mai satte mano yunjans tata tat samupashnute. One who has implicit faith in me and thus concentrates his mind upon me, knowing that my determination is never frustrated, will have his desires fulfilled by the very means he has adopted. Sarartha Darshini commentary by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. If one resolves with determination to attain some particular object, then he should meditate upon the Supreme Lord, whose determination is never foiled. This will enable one to achieve his desired goal. This mystic perfection is called Sankalpa Siddhi. Gaudiya Bhashya. One should make up his mind to revive his forgotten relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by means of devotional service, which can be executed anywhere by anyone. There are many scriptures that guide one back home, back to Godhead. Among them are Sankalpa Kalpadruma by Srila Jiva Goswami, Shri Govinda Lilamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Shri Krishna Bhavanamrita and Sankalpa Kalpadruma by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and Shri Gauranga Smarana Mangala by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. By carefully studying the subjects presented in books like Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and Ujjvala Nilamani, one's eternal perfection can be awakened, saving one from the attractions of this illusory material existence, which only end in misery. I said that right? Gaudiya Bhashya by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Wow, that's really great commentary. Okay. Yo vaimar bhavamapanna eshitur vashito puman kutaschenna vihanyeta tasya chagya yata mama. One who perfects his meditation upon me can imbibe my controlling power. His order, just like mine, can never be thwarted at any time. Sarartha Darshini. If a yogi perfects his meditation upon the Supersoul, he can receive from the Lord the mystic power of being able to control others so well that, like the Lord, his order can never prove futile. Gaudiya Bhashya. The material nature is working under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Pure devotees are never diverted from the service of the Supreme Lord, being tempted by the temporary objects of sense gratifications. Sorry, did I say sense gratifications? The order of such devotees can never be frustrated, just as the orders of the Supreme Lord are never counteracted. Mad bhaktya shuddha sattvasya yogino dharana vidha tasya trai kaliki buddhir janma mrityu pabhrimita. One who has become purified as a result of rendering devotional service to me, and thus has carefully controlled his mind by the practice of meditation, becomes cognizant of past, present, and future. With this understanding, he can witness the appearance and disappearance of all living beings. Sarartha-darshini. The Supreme Lord knows past, present, and future, and so a yogi who meditates on the Lord can receive that mystic opulence from the Lord. This is the perfection known as Trikalagyata Siddhi, which also enables one to know about the birth and death of all people. Gaudiya Bhashya. The impersonalists imagine that they have become one with the Lord, but it is the devotees who actually share the Lord's transcendental qualities. Being fully devoted to the Lord, the pure devotees are situated on the same platform as the Lord, a platform that is above the influence of time in terms of past, present, and future. Thus, the pure devotees who are liberated due to being absorbed in the service of the Lord are knowers of past, present, and future, as is the Lord. Agnadibir nahanyeta munir yoga mayam vapu mad yoga shantachittasya yadasam udakam yatha. Just as the body of an aquatic cannot be injured by water, the body of a peaceful and devoted sage whose spiritual realization has matured by the practice of yoga cannot be injured by fire, the sun, water, poison, and so forth. Sarartha-darshini. By meditating on the Supreme Lord in pure devotional service, the heart of a peaceful sage becomes saturated with transcendental experience. In that stage of perfection, one attains the siddhi by which his body cannot be injured by the material elements in the form of fire, the sun, water, poison, and so forth. The example of an aquatic is given here. Water cannot harm the body of aquatics, rather, they enjoy life in their natural element. Similarly, the perfect yogi can easily fend off all attacks from the material elements. Gaudiya Bhashya. Although the material elements cause transformations of gross objects and can affect the nature of subtle existence, the spiritually blissful body of the Lord's devotees are never affected by material conditions. Devotees are never tempted to enjoy the objects of this world in a way that is not related to the service of the Supreme Lord. Materialists condemn their misfortune when they cannot make material advancement, whereas devotees of the Lord remain joyfully engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, having given up all desires for material advancement. The example is given that aquatics enjoy living in the water, whereas terrestrials, in the bodily concept of life, would bring about their destruction if they tried to live in the same way. Like the aquatics in water, as long as the Lord's devotees remain situated in their natural element of devotional service, they will not become overwhelmed by the currents of material thoughts like the conditioned souls. Mar vibhutir abhidhyayan Srivatsastra vibhushita Dvajata patra vyajanai sabhaver aparajita. A devotee who constantly meditates on my incarnations, which are decorated with the mark of Srivatsa and hold various weapons in their hands, and which always appear with royal grandeur, cannot be conquered by anyone. Sarartha-darshini. By meditating on the various incarnations of the Lord, one becomes unconquerable in all respects. This mystic perfection is Parajaya Siddhi. The Lord's flag, now Gaudiya Bhashya. The Lord's flag, umbrella, chamar, kaustuva gem, and weapons indicate his omnipotency. Those who meditate on the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this feature attain the mystic perfection known as aparajita. All of the mystic perfections obediently come to serve the devotee of the Lord. This is confirmed by Bilva Mangal Thakur in his book Krishna Karnamrita 107. Bhaktistvai stiratara bhagavan yadi syad daivena na phalati divya kishora murti mukti swayam mukulitanjali sevate sman dharmartha kama gataya samaya pratiksha. If I am engaged in devotional service unto you, my dear Lord, then very easily can I perceive your presence everywhere. As far as liberation is concerned, I think that liberation stands at my door with folded hands, waiting to serve me, and all material conveniences of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, and kama stand with her. So mukti stands at my door, and dharma, artha, and kama stand with her, with folded hands. Upasakasya mamevam yoga dharanaya mune siddhaya purvakatita upatishtantyasheshata. A learned sage who worships me through yoga meditation certainly attains the siddhis that have been described by me. Sarartha Darshini. Here the Lord concludes his explanation of the mystic powers obtained by the practice of yoga. The word yoga dharanaya indicates that one obtains the particular yoga siddha. Obtains a particular yoga siddha he endeavored for. It should be yoga siddhi, right? He obtains the particular yoga siddhi he endeavored for. Jitendriyasya dantasya jita shvashatmano mune madharanam dharayatha kasa siddhi sadurlabha. For one who has learned to control his senses, breathing, and mind by being constantly engaged in meditation on me, what mystic power would be very difficult for him to obtain? Sarartha Darshini. The Lord herein says that anyone who can control his breathing and fix his mind on him can achieve any mystic perfection he desires. Antarayan vadantyeta yunjato yogamut uttamam maya sampadyamanasya kalakshapanahetav. It has been stated by learned experts in devotional service that for he who desires to achieve the wealth of my association by means of his execution of pure devotional service, the mystic perfections that I have described are actually impediments and a waste of time. All right, so everything that we just read today is all a waste of time. Let's reread that. It has been stated by learned experts in devotional service that for he who desires to achieve the wealth of my association by means of his execution of pure devotional service, these mystic perfections that I have described are actually impediments and a waste of time. Sarartha Darshini. These mystic perfections can attract and excite only small boys and not mature men. These siddhis are actually impediments on the path of attaining shelter at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who has the association of Lord Krishna dwells within an unlimited ocean of mystic opulence, and so he should not waste his precious time pursuing mystic perfections independently of the Lord's service. Gaudiya Bhashya. Inferior yogas like Hatha Yoga or Raja Yoga certainly waste the practitioner's valuable time. The devotees of the Lord consider such yoga practice to be a hindrance on the path of pure devotional service. In this regard, one should study the verse of the Srimad Bhāgavatam 1.6.35 that begins with Yama Dibir Yoga Patai. Janmo Shadi Tapo Mantrair Yavatir Iha Siddhaya Yogenapnoti Ta Sarva Nanyar Yoga Gatim Vrajet. Whatever mystic perfections can be achieved as a result of good birth, herbs, austerities, and mantras can be achieved by engagement in my devotional service. In fact, one cannot attain the actual perfection of yoga by any other means. Sarata Darshani. Some siddhis are naturally acquired from the time of one's birth. By taking birth as a demigod, one is automatically endowed with many mystic perfections. Simply by being born on Siddha Loka, one automatically acquires all of the 8 principal perfections of yoga. Similarly, by being born as a fish, one becomes invulnerable to water. By being born as a bird, one gets the mystic perfection of flying. And by becoming a ghost, one gets the mystic perfection of disappearing and entering the bodies of others. It is stated in the Patanjala Shastra that mystic perfections can be achieved by good birth, medicinal herbs, austerities, mantras, and yoga. Gaudiya Bhashya. Those who reject the devotional service of the Lord and endeavor for perfection by some other means cannot be considered very intelligent. The devotees reject all other processes to engage in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord. So-called yogis who are interested in their personal sense enjoyment cannot understand the importance of pleasing the senses of Lord Krishna. Any process other than the service of the Supreme Lord, which is the ultimate goal of yoga, will certainly award one only frustration. Sarvasam apisiddhinam hetupatir aham prabhu aham yogasya sankhyasya dharmasya brahmavadinam. O Uddhav, I alone am the cause, maintainer, and lord of all mystic perfections, all yoga processes, Sankhya philosophy, devotional service, and Brahmavadis. Sarata Darshani. All mystic perfections are accomplished simply by meditating on the Supreme Lord. Therefore, He is the cause of all kinds of mystic perfections. He is also the maintainer of the mystic perfections, and the Lord of those perfections as well. He is the object of the yogi's meditation by which they achieve mystic perfections. The Lord is also the objective of the cultivation of spiritual knowledge and the performance of pious activities. Gaudiya Bhashya. The Supreme Lord alone is the object of the various abhidhayas, or paths of perfection, which are followed by all classes of human beings. The so-called perfection attained by those who have become bewildered by self-centered egoistic conceptions of life and have thus given up the service of the Supreme Lord is temporary and most insignificant. The Supreme Lord is present everywhere, and He is the ultimate goal of all processes for attaining perfection in life. Aham atmantaro bahyo navrita sarvadehinam yata bhutani bhuteshu bahir anta swayam tata. Just as the material elements are situated within and outside all material bodies, in the same way, I am also present within everything as a supersoul and outside of everything in my all-pervading feature. Sarata Darshani. It is said that the Lord is situated within the hearts of all living beings. While considering this, one might imagine that the Lord has separated Himself into innumerable different identities. In this verse, however, the Lord explains that His existence cannot be infringed upon by some mere material conditions. He also remains unchanging in spite of displaying so many manifestations. Just as the material elements are situated both within and without all material bodies, so the Lord is all-pervading. Thus ends the translation of the 9th chapter of the Uddhava-gīta, entitled Lord Krishna's Description of Mystic Yoga Perfections, with the commentaries of Śrīla Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and chapter summary and purports by Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. All right, so tomorrow, well, I'm not sure. Should we read tomorrow? I guess we should. Maybe we can read a little bit tomorrow. Tomorrow's Akshaya Tritiya, though. So there's also a lot to read about that day. All right. Now we can move on to read about Śrīla Bhakti Vicāra Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Let's see. What am I looking for? This VC Vani. Vishuddha Chaitanya Vani. My beloved masters. So this is by Śrīla Bhakti Vicāra Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And we won't have time to read the full thing because it's kind of long, but I'll just skip around. Śrīla Bhakti Vicāra Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja. From the book My Beloved Masters by Śrīla Bhakti Vicāra Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Let me just check the comments really quick. Hare Krishna, Rohit, Hare Krishna Ji, Jai. Okay. Accepting the shelter of Srila Prabhupada. Although Śrīla Bhakti Vicāra Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja's forefathers were originally from Orissa, he took birth in Durmut, Medinipur district, West Bengal. Durmut. Srila Maharaj, then known as Shri Sarveshwar Panda, was still very young when he encountered Śrīla Bhakti Prasunna Bodhayan Goswami Maharaj, a disciple of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in Jagannath Puri. After hearing the teachings and glories of Srila Prabhupada, After hearing the teachings and glories of Srila Prabhupada through Srila Bodhayan Goswami Maharaj, Shri Sarveshwar Panda took shelter at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada at Purushottam Mat in Jagannath Puri and was given the name Shri Sarveshwar Brahmachari after receiving initiation. The astrologer's prediction. Once, a famous and reputable astrologer read the palms of both of Shri Sarveshwar Brahmachari and another renowned Brahmachari. At the end of the reading, the astrologer confidently told them, "Both of you will marry and enter household life. It is definite. There is no way out of it." You know, an astrologer said that to me also in, when was it? I think it was in 2017. And I should be married by now, according to my chart. Although Shri Sarveshwar Brahmachari was quite young, Srila Prabhupada wanted to give him sannyas due to his expertise in kirtan and his vast knowledge of Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta. But because of the astrologer's prediction, Shri Sarveshwar Brahmachari was reluctant to accept sannyas, fearing that the desire to marry may be latent within him. Sensing Shri Sarveshwar Brahmachari's reluctance, Srila Prabhupada said, "Sannyas means to completely surrender at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. Why are you fearful of taking shelter of Bhakti-charanaravinda Sri Krishna, whose lotus feet bestow fearlessness?" Shri Sarveshwar Brahmachari received sannyas in 1936 and was the last sannyas of Srila Prabhupada. He was given the name Śrīla Bhakti Vicāra Gosvāmī Mahārāja. The other brahmachari implicated in the astrologer's prediction eventually married, but Srila Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja never did. Sometime much later, when the astrologer again met with Srila Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja and looked at his poem, he said, "I do not know what to say. The lines of your hands have changed, and along with them, your destiny. I have heard from the Vaishnavas, Krishna Bhakta Jadi Balavan, Krishna Bhakta Jadi Hoy Balavan, Vidhir Kalama Kati Kore Khana Khan. If a devotee of Sri Krishna is very powerful, he can easily cut into pieces that which is written down as his destiny." Previously, I never had much faith in this statement, but I now see before me the evidence of its truthfulness. Bhakti truly can change a person's destiny. Do not become quick to praise anyone. They may become puffed up and fall down. Srila Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja was a Durdarshi. He was able to very clearly see all future happenings. There is one pastime in this regard. In 1960, my Guru Maharaj, Shri Srimad Bhakti Dait Madhav Goswami Maharaj, organized a festival at our Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math in Vrindavan to celebrate the installation of the Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Sri Sri Radha Govinda Didis, to which he had invited almost all of his godbrothers, including Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja. Because it was such a large gathering, there was no single location large enough to provide both residence and prasad to all of the attending Vaishnavas. Various dharmashalas were thus booked, and arrangements were made in such a way that the Vaishnavas would be able to honor prasad in their respective dwellings. During the festival, a very young devotee who had only recently accepted sannyas spoke Harikatha. Being quite learned and scholarly, he delivered his lecture in fluent English and quoted many verses from the Shastras. Everyone was impressed to hear such a well-presented lecture. He spoke in English too. Probably hardly anybody in the audience spoke English, I'm guessing. Or maybe by the British influence they knew some, they learned in school, I don't know. Anyways, the next day, while honoring prasad, Srimad Bhakti Vicāra Gosvāmī Mahārāja, a sannyasi disciple of Srila Prabhupada, began glorifying the young sannyasi who had spoken the previous day. Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja and Sripad Krishna Keshav Brahmachari were also present in the room. Because I was responsible for providing and serving them prasad, I too was there. Hearing this praise, Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja immediately interrupted Śrīla Hrishikesh Gosvāmī Mahārāja by loudly saying, "There is no need to glorify this young sannyasi at this time. Although he surely spoke Harikatha nicely, being a new devotee, who can say how much he realizes in his heart who can say how much he realizes in his heart of what he spoke? Speaking is one thing, but how fixed is he on this path? There is much time remaining in his life. Let him first live and grow in this Vaishnav world before glorifying him." There is a Bengali proverb, "Morile jadi urale chai, tabe satir guna gai." This means it is improper to call a woman chaste until she has lived chastely her entire life, up until the point of when her body is cremated and her ashes vanish into the air. Then and only then can she be called chaste. Similarly, unless a person has displayed proper conduct and etiquette throughout his life, it is unintelligent to glorify him for whatever qualities he may have, like the ability to speak nicely. Mundane scholars can also speak nicely, but we generally see that they have no faith in Sri Hari, Guru, or Vaishnavas. Therefore, whatever qualities such persons may possess are simply material. Prior to this pastime, I had only known Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja to be immensely soft-spoken by nature. He was always straightforward and direct, and he spoke whatever he felt. In 1962, during the time of Kumbh Mela in Haridwar, it was found that the young sannyasi was not so fixed on the path of bhakti. There he mixed intimately with women, and this caused him to leave the association of the Gaudiya Math sadhus. Afterward, he began criticizing everyone. Affectionate concern for godbrothers. Once, Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja went to Kalna, while Śrīmad Bhakti Pramod Puri Gosvāmī Mahārāja was serving in the Ananta Vasudev temple there. When he met with Śrīla Puri Gosvāmī Mahārāja, he said, You have taken responsibility for this temple, as well as different responsibilities at Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math. How can you manage all these things single-handedly? It would be better for you to invest your full time and energy wholeheartedly serving at only one place. After accepting his advice, Śrīla Puri Gosvāmī Mahārāja dedicated his full energy to his services at Sri Chaitanya Gaudiya Math. Wow, and Śrīla Bhakti Pramod Puri Gosvāmī Mahārāja is so much senior to him. But Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja had so much love and concern for his godbrothers. That's why it's fully appropriate. Okay, just engage in kirtan. Krishna will provide whatever is required. One day, the brahmacharis of Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja's Sri Shyamananda Gaudiya Math in Medinipur became distressed upon seeing that there was no rice whatsoever to cook and offer to Thakurji. When they expressed their concern to Śrīla Maharaj, he immediately understood the situation and consoled them by saying, "Do not worry." Then, after locking the temple's gate from inside and keeping the key with him, He turns to the brahmacharis and especially since you are devotees. After this, he proceeded toward his room on the second floor of the mutt, where he began to chant Harinam loudly. After some time, someone began to knock on the temple's gate and call out for someone to come and open it, but nobody was able to hear him due to the loud kirtan. The brahmacharis were performing in the temple hall. Finally, Śrīla Maharaj noticed from his room that someone was outside the gate. After one kirtan had finished and before the next started, Śrīla Maharaj dropped the keys from the second floor onto the ground floor and instructed one of the brahmacharis to open the gate and see who had come. When they opened the door, they found that the man who had been knocking was standing outside the gate with a giant bag of rice. When the residents of the mutt inquired about who had purchased those provisions, the man replied, "I do not know. All I know is that someone asked me to deliver these things to this mutt. I have no idea who he was." The brahmacharis asked, "Has he paid the fare for your rickshaw?" "Yes," the man replied. Because Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja was completely surrendered to the Lord, seeing the pain Śrīla Maharaj was experiencing upon being unable to offer bhog, supplied whatever was needed for this service. Just engage in kirtan. Krishna will award peacefulness. Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja used to sing wonderful kirtans from the core of his heart. Once, the electricity went out while he was performing kirtan. Being unsure of what to do, the devotees became restless. Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja, however, immediately reacted, telling them not to become disturbed. He then began singing Bhaja Huremana Shri Nandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. O mind, worship Nandanandan Shri Krishna, whose lotus feet bestow fearlessness. His conduct was a testament to his complete surrender to the Lord. In this way, he never worried for anything, and he wanted others never to worry either. An omnipotent doctor. Once, a devotee consulted a doctor regarding an infection he had developed from a hand injury he previously sustained. After examining the devotee, the doctor concluded that the only solution was to amputate one of the devotee's fingers. He told the devotee to return for the surgery after a couple of days. Before returning to the doctor to have his finger removed, the devotee visited Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja. After offering pranam to Śrīla Maharaj, he mentioned that within a day or two he would have to have his finger cut off. Hearing this, Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja responded, "You must have committed some Vaishnava aparad, and the result is the loss of your finger. Quickly go and beg for the forgiveness of whomever you have offended." The devotee became grave and admitted, "Yes, I committed an offense at the lotus feet of a pure devotee, but that devotee has left this world. What should I do?" Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja told him, "Go to the place where his body was cremated and beg and cry for forgiveness." The devotee followed these instructions, and afterward, when he returned to the doctor's office for one last examination before having his finger amputated, the doctor became astonished. He asked, "What kind of medicine have you taken? And from whom have you acquired such a medicine?" The devotee replied, "I haven't taken any medicine. Why are you asking this question?" The doctor said, "This is incredible. When I previously examined you, there was no other option but to amputate your finger. But now I can see that there is no need for anything. Your hand will heal just fine by itself." Okay, I don't want to stop reading. Okay. Who but Madhav? Every year, just after Gaur Purnima, many disciples of Srila Prabhupada would visit the mutt of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Śrīla Gosvāmī Mahārāja in Koladip to meet together and honor prasad. One year on this occasion, my Guru Maharaj informed his godbrothers that there was an opportunity to purchase the appearance place of Srila Prabhupada in Jagannath Puri, and he suggested they purchase the land collectively. After discussing the matter amongst themselves, a few of his god brothers pledged whatever money they could, but the total amount was almost insignificant in relation to the amount needed. Feeling perplexed about what to do, Guru Maharaj mentioned, "We will have to think of another way to collect the required funds." At that time, Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja mentioned one verse from the Nrsimha Purana. Madhavo Madhavo Vachi Madhavo Madhavo Hridi Smaranti Madhava Sarve Sarvakaryeshu Madhavam. Madhav is in one's words. Madhav is in one's heart. All saintly persons remember Madhav, the husband of Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, in all of their endeavors. Although the name Madhav in this verse refers to Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Śrīla Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja spoke the verse in reference to my Guru Maharaj, Shishimad Bhakti Dait Madhav Gosvāmī Mahārāja, and thus implied Madhav Maharaj is in the words and hearts of his godbrothers. All of his godbrothers remember Madhav Maharaj because he is able to collect any amount of Lakshmi, money. All his godbrothers remember Madhav Maharaj in all of their endeavors. What then can not be accomplished? What is the need to rely on anyone else? What then can he not accomplish? What is the need to rely on anyone else? Upon hearing this, Guru Maharaj understood that his godbrothers were blessing him by entrusting this service to him. After offering prostrated Dandavat Pranam to all of them, he gratefully accepted the entire responsibility of acquiring Srila Prabhupada's appearance place. I want to continue reading, but it is 8:31, so I think we should stop here. Yeah. Anyways, if you'd like to read this yourself, you can go to vcvani.com and you can read there. Oh, the connection's been dropping, huh? All right, so now we will sing the Keshava Ashtakam. No, I'll do Jaidwani and then we could sing Keshava Ashtakam for those who want to stay for that. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandhar Vikagiri Dhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shri Guru Dev ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj ki Jai Nitya Lila Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj ki Jai Nitya Pravishtam Vishnupar Rashata Rashata Shishmar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai Nitya Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Shri Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj ki Jai Nitya Pravishta Shri Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai Nitya Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai Shri Rupa Anugogoriya Guru Varga ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jeev Gopala Padadash Raghunath, Shara Goswami Prabhu ki Jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari, Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai, Nama Acharya Shri Lahari Ras Thakur ki Jai, Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Shri Kshetra Mandala, Gaura Mandala, Vraja Mandala, Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki Jai, Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Radha Kunda Shama Kund ki Jai, Shri Yamuna Devi Ganga Devi ki Jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki Jai, Shri Bhakti Devi ki Jai, Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki Jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Ashvata Rashata Shishmar Śrīla Bhakti Vicāra Yāyāvar Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Tadiyar Shubha Avirbhav Titi ki Jai, Titi Palan Kari Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Samagata Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Shinitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Vrindai Tulsi Devai, Priyai Keshavashachar, Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi, Satyapatai Namo Namaha, Vancha Kalpataru Bhyashtra, Kripa Sindhu Bhyai Vacha, Patitanam Pavane Bhyo, Vaishnave Bhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat Pranams everybody. So now I'm going to move on to Keshav Ashtakam. Nava Priya Kamanjari. Shri Keshavashtakam by Śrīla Rupa Gosvāmī. Nava Priya Kamanjari Rachita Karna Pura Shriyam Vinidrataramalati Vinidrataramalati Kalita Shekare no Jvalam Darochvasita Yuddhika Gratita Valgo Vaikakshaka Praje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Vishangi Manikastani Pranata Shingi Pingekshane Mridanga Mukidhumale Shabali Hangsi Vangshi Priye Iti Swasura Vikula Taralama Vayanta Muda Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Kana Pranayame Duran Madhura Narma Goshti Kala Vilasa Nilayan Milad Vivida Vesha Vidyotina Sakhena Kila Saraya Patishuha Sayantam Gira Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Shramambu Kanikavali Daravilida Gandantara Samuda Giridhatuvir Likita Charupantram Puram Udancharali Mandali Duti Vidam Vivakralakam Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Nibaddha Navatarnaka Vali Vilo Kanod Kantaya Natat Kuraputan Chalai Alogubir Bhuvam Pindadim Kalena Dhavala Khata Lagu Nirvartayantam Puro Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Padankatati Birvara Virachayantam Advashriyam Chalat Taralanaichiki Nichaya Dhuli Dhumra Srajam Marula Hari Chanchali Krita Dukula Chudanchala Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Vilasa Murali Kala Dvani Birulla Sanmanasa Kshanara Kila Ballavi Pulakayantamantar Grihe Muhur Vidatatang Hridi Pramuditancha Goshteshware Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Upetya Pati Sundari Tati Virabhiravyarchitam Smitam Kurakaram Pitar Natarapanga Bhangi Shatai Stanastavaka Sancharan Nayana Chanchari Kanchalam Vraje Vijayinam Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Idam Nikila Pallavi Kula Mahotsaval Idam Nikila Pallavi Kula Hola Mahotsavolasana Gramena Kilaya Puman Patati Shushtupadyashtakam Tamujvala Diyang Sada Nijapadara Vindadvaye Ratem Dadada Chanchalam Sukayadar Vishaka Sakha Raje Vijayina Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshava Raje Vijayina Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshava Raje Vijayina Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshava Raje Vijayina Bhaje Vipina Deshata Keshavam Ajaya Keshavadev 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 Jaya Keshavadev Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, everybody. So I'll see you all tomorrow to read about Akshay Tritiya, maybe read a little bit from Srimad Bhāgavatam, maybe read a little bit from Chaitanya Bhagavat. I don't know. We'll see. I want to start a Chaitanya Bhagavat program, so maybe that's a good day to start. Anyways, I haven't made any solid plan yet, but alright. See you all later. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Rohit Radha Krishna ji. Hari Bol. Jai Keshav Dev.